And I'd like to announce the council meeting for Tiffin City Council for November 2nd, 2020. We are now in order. I'd like to welcome all of our viewers and members of the council. This evening, the invocation and pledge of allegiance are to be led by Councilman Schuff. Is he here?
No, he's not, Mr. President. He wrote me that he could not find his invite for the meeting, so I sent him a new one probably 5 to 10 minutes ago, but I still don't see him, so
okay.
I can't do anything else.
All right. Well, in his absence, the council president's going to lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. So if all of you would pray with me, please. Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. In Jesus' name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, I'd like to send my best wishes and condolences to Ann Forrest, who's our clerk. She lost her love of her life this week, and you're in our prayers, Ann, and we just
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We just wish you for all the best.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Having said that, will you now call the roll, please?
Of course, of course. Councilman Schuff. Councilwoman Boyle.
Here.
Councilman Gillig. Oh, that's right, he's absent. Councilwoman Yanatuno.
Here.
Councilman Jones.
Present.
Councilman Leopard.
Here.
Councilman Perry.
Here.
Let the record show that 5 of the, wait a minute. Hold on a second, because Councilman Schuff is trying to get on.
Sorry, my computer's going really slow here today.
Okay, so let the record show that 6 of the 7 council members are present. At this time, I'd like to call to order a public hearing for a joint public hearing between the Tiffin City Council and the Planning Commission. Our members of the Planning Commission.
Yes, Mr. President, I will bring them in right now since you've called it to order.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please.
All right, Mr. President, they're coming in right now. It looks like you've got, let me scan the room quick. You've got Rod Morrison, Bob Williams, Vicki Wilkins, Dale Thornton, and myself. I think I got everyone. Matt Watson then acts as the Planning Commission secretary.
Okay, so we have a majority, we have a quorum, I should say. The purpose of the joint meeting is the consideration of ordinance 20-105. This ordinance creates a zoning classification of R4-A, multiple family residential agricultural district, for the purpose of permitting agricultural uses with restrictions along with multi-family residences. Anyone from the attending public who wishes to address the council and the Planning Commission, please raise your hands, be identified, and present your comments to the President of the Council.
And Mr. President, if you would allow me to, I will explain to the public, if you wish to speak at the hearing, if you're on Zoom, there's a button that says raise hand. That is how you will address council. You'll hit your raise hand button on the screen, and we will allow you into the room to address City Council and the Planning Commission. So if there are any members of the public, I see we have 8 in our Zoom room that wish to speak. Please raise your hand at this time. I do not see any hands, Mr. President.
Okay. If there, is there any comment from the members of the Planning Commission? Any comments from a member of the council? All right. I will adjourn the joint meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Planning Commission.
Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from our previous meetings? Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, without objection, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We're now under committee reports. Anyone from the Finance Committee? Law and Community Planning Committee, Councilwoman Boyle.
I have no report at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Materials and Equipment, Councilman Jones.
No report at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Personnel and Labor Relations, Councilman Perry.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Recreation and Public Property, Councilwoman Yanatuno.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Street Sidewalks and Sewers, Councilman Leopard.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Economic Development and Downtown Planning, Councilman Schuff.
No report at this time, Mr. President. I will have a report at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone see a need for a committee of the whole meeting? All right, we're now under reports of the officers. Is Honor Mayor Aaron D. Montz.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I do have 2 proclamations. The first proclamation is for lung cancer awareness. And that states, whereas lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death among men and women in the United States and in Ohio in 2020 so far, accounting for more deaths than colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer combined. Whereas, according to the Ohio Department of Health, there is an average of 49 new lung cancer cases and 37 deaths because of lung cancer each year between the years of 2020 and 2016 in Seneca County. Whereas the 5-year survival rate for localized lung cancer is just 59%, yet only 17% of lung cancers are diagnosed at this stage. And whereas screening for lung cancer for high-risk individuals using low-dose computed tomography can lead to the earlier detection of lung cancer and save lives, reducing the mortality by 20% when compared to screening by chest X-ray in the National Lung Screening Trial, and reducing the risk of death at 10 years by 24% in men and 33% in women, as demonstrated by another large randomized trial. And whereas funding for lung cancer research trails far behind funding for research of many other cancers, and additional research is needed in early diagnosis, screening, and treatment for lung cancer, as well as in lung cancer affecting women and lung cancer health disparities. And whereas women diagnosed with lung cancer are more likely to be younger and never smokers, lung cancer incidence and mortality rates in women are rising relative to men. More women die from lung cancer than breast cancer every year. And by 2035, it is expected that more women will die from lung cancer than men. And whereas organizations working in the Tiffin community, such as the American Lung Cancer Screening Initiative and Women's Lung Cancer Forum, are committed to educating about lung cancer and lung cancer screening and working to increase lung cancer screening rates in Tiffin. Therefore, I, Aaron D. Montz, Mayor of the City of Tiffin, hereby proclaim today and this month as November Lung Cancer Awareness Month in the City of Tiffin. And we recognize the need for research in lung cancer affecting women and men and lung cancer disparities, and encourage all citizens to learn about lung cancer and early detection through lung cancer screenings. So that is a proclamation declaring the month of November Lung Cancer Awareness Month. As you just heard, it is a significant issue, probably much more of an issue than what most people tend to believe, and the rates are rising significantly among women, catching them up to the rates of men. We have a second proclamation this evening, and it's in honor of fast approaching Veterans Day coming up very soon on November the 11th. And it states, whereas the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the veterans of foreign wars of the United States has been officially recognized and endorsed by governmental leaders since 1922. And whereas VFW Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans and their widows and orphans of deceased veterans. And whereas the basic purpose of the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the veterans of foreign wars is eloquently reflected in the desire to honor the dead by helping the living. And therefore, I, Aaron D. Montz, Mayor of the City of Tiffin, Ohio, do hereby urge the citizens of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to its support through your donations for Buddy Poppies on the day set aside for distribution of these symbols of appreciation for the sacrifices of our honored dead. So Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2020, is Buddy Poppies Day. I urge all patriotic citizens to wear a Buddy Poppy as mute evidence of our gratitude to the men and women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. This was done under my hand the second day of November in the year of our Lord, 2020. The Buddy Poppies, you probably see them frequently on people's lapels or on their jackets, but obviously, it's a great cause helping disabled veterans and the family members of veterans who have lost their lives. So a big thank you to the volunteers that organize that every year. And just remember that on Veterans Day, how important those items are. Moving on after that, quick financial rundown. I know everyone continues to get our financial updates on City Council and the administration. Currently, we did have a good month in the month of October. Income tax collections were up 9.9% when compared to our tax collection rates in October of 2019. However, since the coronavirus pandemic began, we are still down approximately $410,000 of lost revenue. And since the very beginning of 2020, we are still down just a hair under $100,000 of lost revenue since we began the year 2020. That equates to right around a 1% decrease in revenue. As you all know, we had the best first quarter in the city's history as far as income tax returns, and then the bottom completely fell out. So we're hoping that we can get back to normal here, but that's why we continue to echo that everyone in this community and in this county and in the state has got to do their part to ensure that we do not have another shutdown again. We can't afford it from a financial standpoint, from a mental health standpoint. There cannot be another shutdown again, or else it will be catastrophic as far as the government goes and businesses and just the overall mental and physical health of our citizenry here in Tiffin and Seneca County. So please continue to do your part at slowing the spread and just trying to keep each other safe and healthy right now so that we can get through this together. Some additional good news in relation to all of that: you all graciously supported the Tiffin Cares program. with the funding. I've got Audrey Flood, who I'm going to bring in. She's going to give a brief update on CARES Act. The nice part was the Seneca County Commissioners have also created a similar program that what we did here in the city, and the state of Ohio has now created a similar program. The nice part is businesses can have another bite at the apple if they either did not ask for the maximum funds, but have had new expenses come up, or if they did maximize their funds here in Tiffin, but still have additional expenses. They cannot double dip, so they can't use the same grant dollars to make a profit, but they can use this money to cover expenses or business losses. So I'm bringing Audrey in now. It won't take her long, I know, with her update, but we had a very successful program here at the city. Over 50 businesses applying for funding. We've got Audrey on. So Audrey, why don't you give our council members a brief update on CARES?
Sure. Thanks, Mayor, Mr. President, and Council for having me tonight. Yes, so the Tiffin CARES application closed on October 12th. We worked really hard to assist businesses in many, many ways with getting their applications in and going kind of above and beyond to make sure that, you know, they could all access it if they wanted to. There were 68 total applications submitted. There were 61 approved for funding. About 42 have returned their documents to us signed, you know, ready to receive the funds. There are about 18 we are following up on to get the forms from them that we need to proceed. And then this week begins the distribution of funds to the businesses. And then 120 days after they receive their funds, their closeout report saying what they spent the money on is due to us. Again, all the information about how that worked and the whole process, if you're curious, can be found at tiffincares.com. So, you know, if you're curious about anything, you can go there and look at it. Those are the numbers, how they stand at the moment. Do you guys have any questions about the Tiffin Cares program for me? John?
We had talked about having to use a lottery system if there was too many. Did we have to resort to that? Or was everybody
Nope.
able to make it?
Yep, there were fewer businesses that applied than we needed to, you know, we did not max out the fund, so we did not have to go to the lottery system.
Good.
All of the applications that were eligible and approved were awarded funding. Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And then, Mr. Mayor, if I may give a brief update on Dream Big as well.
Yes, sorry, I forgot you were doing two different topics this evening. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Now, great time.
No problem.
Bring you in and bring you out. So.
Yep. So one more thing real quick, the Dream Big Tiffin initiative for gathering ideas for community development uses in the city. There are currently about 25 ideas that have been submitted. There are 5 project ideas that have been submitted so far, and there are 8 or so other projects that are in the process of being submitted that people are working on right now. And that application or that online portal to submit your ideas or projects is open until November 12th. Again, all of that information is at dreambigtiffin.com. And just as a reminder, this is us trying to gather any project ideas, any ideas or plans that people have to better their community or their neighborhoods. And this can be submitted by individuals, just, you know, regular citizens, by organizations, departments, elected officials, anyone who wants to submit these project ideas until November 12th. Please send them our way. And as always, reach out to me at flood@tiffinseneca.org if you have any questions at all about that program. Again, please submit ideas until November 12th. Are there any questions about that one?
I want to back up a little bit, Audrey. I didn't get in fast enough. Could you give the address again for the CARES program, please?
Yep, everything you need to know about the Tiffin Cares program is at tiffincares.com. The numbers of the applications that were submitted and that are, you know, receiving funding, those numbers are not available on there. If you have any questions about, you know, how many businesses were awarded funding or that kind of thing, just reach out to myself or David. But all the information about the process and how that worked and the dates and all of that is at tiffincares.com. And then the other address was dreambigtiffin.com for the community development.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Audrey? Councilman Jones?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Flood, I understood you say 51 are approved, 18 were being followed up. If we don't use the full $633,000, does Tiffin have access to those dollars, or what happens to any
61 were approved.
Miss,
Yeah, 61 were approved for funding. So 61 will be funded. And then the other part I will let Mr. Mayor speak to.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Jones. The remaining funds, we do not lose them. We don't have to give them back to the state. We do have the opportunity to use them here at the city. We could, if we deem necessary, go back and offer another round of funding. I'm not necessarily as big of a fan of that because we did give businesses ample time, and we had this on blast everywhere from the newspaper to social media, on the radio. So I really don't know how many of them there remains that just completely missed it. And even if they did, they can't apply to the funding from either the state or the county. So we're probably likely to just return the money and to use it for expenses in our first responder units that they have expenses related to coronavirus. That is the most likely trajectory. But a lot of it just depends on where we are at a little closer to the deadline, closer to the end of the year, that we have to have all of the money spent or allocated by.
Anyone else? Thank you, Audrey. Mayor?
Okay, continuing on with the update. We have completed our first round of departmental budget meetings to go through each and every department within the city. So right now that is in Kathy's hands. She is getting all of the first round of changes that we have made updated into our computer system. And very soon we'll be having our second round of meetings that we typically have, then to make some final changes before we present the budget to council. So with that said, I do think we are on track to have things to city council later this month. Just as we saw with last year's budget, it's probably likely that there'll have to be at least one special meeting. Really, I'm hopeful that there's a chance that we may have the budget into you all by the 16th, but I'm only cautiously optimistic. It's probably much more likely that we'll not have it to you until the special meeting. We'll go ahead and provide that for the 23rd, meaning that if that is the case and you're able to hold a meeting to discuss the budget, we'll probably have to have one special meeting in the month of December for either second reading or third and final passage, just depending on when council wishes to schedule that. But just to let everyone know, you're probably looking at one special meeting in the month of December, whenever council can schedule and get the majority of council at it for that budget process. But we will have it to you as soon as we are completed with everything. Next up, we're just reminding residents to continue to remain vigilant. Hopefully you all received notice of the scam that was going around. We had a couple of residents that were contacted via email from a scammer claiming that they had traffic citations with the police department and that they must pay online. Obviously, it's not us. We do not ever ask for someone to submit payment via email or anything like that to us, nor will you ever receive an email from the Tiffin Police Department telling you that you have a traffic citation. That is not how we operate here at the city. We do not send out mass emails. So residents, just continue to monitor. If you ever have a question, if a traffic citation or violation is legitimate or anything else for that matter, please either contact the police department or call us down here at City Hall and follow up on it, because we don't want you being taken advantage of by these. A lot of the times they'll send these emails out and tell you you have like 5 days to pay it. If not, you're essentially going to jail. We had several residents that received that, and thankfully the Tiffin Police Department, Chief Stevens, did a very good job about getting that information out very quickly to the public. But continue to remind your constituents, and if you have not, maybe share that post that we had on social media as well. Lots of good business announcements in the last couple of weeks. Even with the coronavirus pandemic, our businesses are still investing and doing good things. I want to congratulate Alicia and Ryan Smith on Hair Studio 47, which is located at 47 North Washington Street. They recently completed their remodel and overhaul of the location. Looks great inside. So congratulations, Alicia and Ryan. We also spent some time last week at Tiffin City Daycare. They recently underwent a significant expansion project and remodeled the inside. And I'll tell you, you can tell that they're certainly taking the coronavirus very serious there. All sorts of hand washing stations and even mobile hand washing and cleaning units, but really top-notch program there at Kid City on Miami Street. And seeing the expansion that they've done, and the need continues to grow. The students that we got to see were all so happy to be there. They were excited to be learning. And I think a lot of them are just thankful that they're able to actually be out and about interacting with their fellow students and learning there at Kid City Daycare. Also, we announced last week that East of Chicago Pizza is returning to Tiffin. They will be locating at the old Cash Advance location that was across from where Mercy Hospital used to be, or as Tiffin residents will remember long ago, I think it used to be a KFC, if I'm not mistaken. So that building, they're already in the process of remodeling. They'll be open here in the very near future. We're excited because East of Chicago, of course, was a staple in Tiffin for many years. We have a lot of wonderful, great local pizza places, but East of Chicago brings something a little different to the table. And we do know that when they closed and left Tiffin years ago, it was not due to a lack of success here. There were extenuating circumstances. So we're just glad to see them decide to come back to the Tiffin community and offer that here in Tiffin. I would like to congratulate and wish well, it's kind of weird to say, but former Police Chief Fred Stevens, who is our sheriff-elect, and Chuck Boyer. Both of them, there was a very small retirement kind of open house so that we didn't have very many people in the same room together. Instead of having a very short party, we had it more of an open house style. So we really wish Fred and Chuck well. We'll be working extremely close with them out at the Sheriff's Department. And I know as it is now, even though Chief is done, he and I talk frequently. At least he started. He was out there watching us tonight, even though he's no longer our chief. But I'm just excited because I know he's going to be great to work with as our Seneca County Sheriff, and just wish him and Chuck, who have both served this community so well, the very best one last time before they take office. And hopefully they can enjoy their 2-month retirement, because that's literally all they're getting until they start right in the trenches again on January 1st. I want to also thank the Tiffin Seneca Farmers Market Committee. Those volunteers once again took the farmers market to the next level this year. And in the midst of a pandemic, they still found a way to have a very successful market. They had an all-time high on the amount of vendors. The attendance was wonderful. Just an overall fantastic job from the Tiffin Seneca Farmers Market Committee and the director. So thank you. Can't wait to see what they have in store for us in 2021. Also, congratulations to Tiffin Columbian football on reaching the regional finals. So proud of all of those student athletes and Coach Lutz and his staff. Just really amazing to see the turnaround that Judd and his fellow coaches have had on that program, their leadership, doing the right thing for the students and showing them the right ways. Just tremendous. So congratulations, Tiffin Columbian football. Let's hope the victory streak continues. And then also I want to congratulate Tiffin Calvert volleyball. They won their district championship last week as well. So Tiffin student athletes just continuing to shine here in the community. I wanted to get those thank yous out. And then also give people one more reminder, tomorrow is election day. Like I tell everyone, vote like your life and your rights depend on it, because really it does, depending on your beliefs. So please get out tomorrow and vote. Polls open 6:30 a.m. They close at 7:30 p.m. Plenty of time if you've not voted already to get out and cast your ballot. If you have an absentee ballot at home and you forgot to mail it in, you can show up tomorrow and still drop that ballot off. So get your ballots in to ensure that your voice is heard. And then last but not least, I have an event to remind everyone about. This coming Saturday, November the 7th, is the Downtown Tiffin Scavenger Hunt. It starts at 10 a.m. If you pre-register early, It's only $20 per team. If you register the day of, it is $25. But the top prize this year brings home $300 for the winning scavenger hunt team. So we hope to have a good turnout for that. With that, Mr. President, it concludes my report, but I'm happy to answer questions if there are any this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor? Councilman Shuff.
Yes, Mayor. Earlier in your report, I know we sent a letter back to Governor DeWine. Do you know, did other cities follow suit as far as what we did, or have you had contacts with any other cities or mayors that kind of voice the same concerns that we did to Governor DeWine?
I've had a lot of contact with fellow mayors and county commissioners that have the same concerns. I have not, that I can recall off the top of my head right this second, had any of them tell me that they submitted any kind of a resolution like we did. But there are many of them that do share the same concerns. And I've been on phone calls with Governor DeWine and with Governor Husted, or Lieutenant Governor Husted, where mayors and county commissioners and city council members have indeed expressed those concerns verbally. But I am not aware of any that have gone the route that we have and actually submitted a resolution. But I would assume there have been some, but maybe I shouldn't assume that.
Thank you.
Anyone else have a question for the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Clerk Council Ann Forrest.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Director of Finance Kathy Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the financial report for October. Total receipts for the month were $3,839,887.07. Total expenses for the month were $5,769,695.19. The general fund unencumbered balance is $3,403,250.36. Income tax receipts for October 2020 were $947,310.37. The total annual increase in income tax collections for October 2020 comparing to October 2019 is $85,250.08. Year-to-date income tax receipts are still down about 1.3%. The 0.25% portion of income tax receipts that was transferred into Fund 215 for public streets for October was $117,474.44. The unexpended balance for all funds is $25,293,211.24, which is the same as the bank balance for the same time period. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Finance Director? Councilwoman Boyle, do you have a motion?
Oh, yes, I will motion that we approve the finance director's report
And the bank reconciliation?
and the bank reconciliation.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilman Shuff.
I'll second, Mr. President.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Thanks, Kathy. Director of Law, Brent T. Howard.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. We're now under written communications.
I have Finance Director's request for legislation number F20-50 to amend the 2020 Budget Ordinance 19-84 to appropriate funds into the Parks and Fire Department budgets.
Request for legislation F20-50 will be held on file in the clerk's office. Legislation has been prepared for tonight's meeting.
And we have Mayor's letter of appreciation to the Arlington Volunteer Fire Department for their $75 donation in memory of James R. Jim Hayes, whose son Reggie is a captain on their department.
We thank him for their donation. This letter will be held on file in the clerk's office.
And that concludes the written communications.
Thank you. We are now under oral communications. Anyone from the attending public who wishes to speak to council, please raise your hand to be identified and make your comments to the president of council. Do we have anyone, Mayor, who is interested in speaking to the council?
I'm not seeing any hands. If there's anyone out there, again, if you just click the feature that says raise hand. I do not see any hands being raised, Mr. President. You may continue.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the oral communications. We're now under motions. Are there any motions this evening? We're now under resolutions. Any resolutions?
There are no resolutions, Mr. President.
Thank you. We're now under ordinances.
Ordinance number 20-99, introduced by Steve Leopard. Ordinance authorizing installment of a street light on Olive Street and declaring an emergency.
This is the third reading of ordinance 20-99. Councilman Leopard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask for passage of ordinance number 20-99.
We have a motion to pass ordinance 20-99. Is there a second? Councilwoman Boyle.
Yes, I'll second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilman Leopard.
I think this light is much needed on Olive Street. And I'd like to thank the residents for bringing this suggestion forward.
Any other comments? Seeing none. Oh, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does Councilman Leopard have to mention the passing this as an emergency? I didn't hear him say that, but I believe that's in order. Or is that a given?
It's a given. It's part of we're going to vote on the emergency.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Or discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the vote on the emergency, please.
Councilman Schuff,
Yes.
Councilwoman Boyle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Yanatuno,
Yes.
Councilman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Leopard,
Yes.
Councilman Perry.
Yes.
The emergency passes with a vote of 6-0, and we'll now vote on the passage.
Councilman Schuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard, Councilman Leopard,
You're
You're
muted.
muted, Steve.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-99 passes with a vote of 6-0.
Ordinance number 20-106, introduced by Bridget Boyle. Ordinance enacting Chapter 723 of the Tiffin Codified Ordinances to authorize and regulate mobile food vendors operating within the city.
This is the third reading of ordinance 20-106. Councilwoman Boyle.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to ask for council's passage of ordinance 20-106.
We have a motion to pass ordinance 20-106. Is there a second? Councilman Leopard.
I'll second the motion, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the vote on the passage, please.
Councilman Schuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-106 passes with a vote of 6-0.
Ordinance number 20-109, introduced by Bridget Boyle. Ordinance amending Chapter 9, Streets, Utilities, and Public Services Code, and Chapter 1127, Subdivision Design Standards, adopting a revised Public Works Improvements Design Manual and updating references to the design manual and update related fees to make consistent with ordinance number 19-69.
This is the second reading of ordinance 20-109.
Ordinance number 20-111, introduced by Dawn Yanatuno. Ordinance ordinance authorizing the mayor to make application, accept a deed, and take all other actions necessary to acquire the real property located at 43 West Market Street, Tiffin, Ohio, from the Seneca County Land Revitalization Corporation, and to convey said real property to the Seneca County Industrial and Economic Development Corporation, AKA Tiffin Seneca Economic Partnership.
This is the second reading of ordinance 20-111.
Ordinance number 20-113, introduced by Steve Leopard. Ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept a permanent easement and right-of-way for public road and highway purposes along Tiber Road and Shawn Avenue.
This is the second reading of ordinance 20-113.
Ordinance number 20-114, introduced by Tyler Schuff. Ordinance creating a designated outdoor refreshment area, DORA, for downtown Tiffin, enacting regulations for the DORA, and declaring an emergency.
This is the first reading of ordinance 20-114.
Ordinance number 20-115, introduced by Tyler Schuff. Ordinance establishing the rate of pay for the clerk of the Charter Review Commission, amending the budget to pay the clerk, and declaring an emergency.
This is the first reading of ordinance 20-115. Councilman Schuff.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to ask for council suspension of the 3 reading rule and passage of ordinance 20-115, please.
We have a motion to suspend ordinance 20-115 and pass it. Is there a second? Councilwoman Boyle.
Yes, I'll second that, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Law Director, you want to explain why we're passing this under suspension, please?
Yes, last Tuesday, the Charter Review Commission selected a clerk for the commission, and that person immediately started working. So in order for that person to be paid for the services they are providing, council needs to establish the rate of pay, which the commission identified as $20 per hour, and amend the budget to establish payroll line items in order to pay the clerk.
Thank you.
She's already started to do the work and needs to get paid for her services.
Thank you. Is there any discussion, comments? Seeing none, I'll ask Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. I just had a comment. I guess I was going to ask for clarification, but you did it, President Foden. I appreciate that because it was clear in the council of the whole why that was being passed as emergency. And I just wanted the people who zoomed in at 7 p.m. to understand it also. So thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. Any other comments? Ask the clerk to call the vote on the suspension, please.
Councilman Schuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
yes,
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard,
yes,
Perry.
Yes.
The suspension passes with a vote of 6-0. We'll now vote on the emergency.
Councilman Schuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
yes,
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard,
yes,
Perry.
Yes.
The emergency passes with a vote of 6-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilman Schuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
yes,
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard,
yes,
Perry.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-115 passes with a vote of 6-0.
Ordinance number 20-116, introduced by Tyler Schuff. Ordinance amending sections 907.07D and E of Tiffin Codified Ordinances, decreasing the annual percentage increase in sewer rates to 4%.
This is the first reading of ordinance 20-116.
Ordinance number 20-117, introduced by Tyler Schuff. Ordinance amending the 2020 Budget Ordinance 19-84 to appropriate donations of $900.87 in the Parks Department budget and a $75 donation and a $2,452 refund in the Fire Rescue Division budget.
This is the first reading of ordinance 20-117. Councilman Shuff.
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to ask for council's suspension of the 3 reading rule and passage of ordinance 20-117, please.
Thank you. We have a motion to suspend and pass ordinance 20-117. Is there a second? Councilwoman Yanatuno.
I'll second, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the vote on the suspension, please.
Councilman Shuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
The suspension passes with a vote of 6-0. We'll now vote on the passage.
Councilman Shuff,
Yes.
Boyle,
Yes.
Yanatuno,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Leopard,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Ordinance 20-117 passes with a vote of 6-0. Are there any other
That
ordinances?
concludes, no, that concludes the ordinances.
Thank you. We're now under unfinished business. Is there anything for the good of the order? Councilman Perry.
Just wanted to say it's been just a little over a year since I joined you guys. It's been a fun and a interesting year. So it's been an entertaining one though. So
Well, we're glad to have you. You've done a good job.
thanks.
Councilman Shuff.
Yeah, I had a question for to council as a whole here in the administration. I know that in the past that we've usually done something special for different elected officials or department heads, or when certain people retire. I know we did something for Lori and Councilman Klein and other various people with Chief Stevens and Chuck Boyer, with the amount of service that they had put in and what they've done for the city. Would council or the administration see it appropriate to maybe get them like a small going away memento? I know we've done Hawks Crystal before, or little paperweights or carved glass. I mean, would you guys want to go in together on that or do something special for them? Because I mean, I really appreciate the work that both of those gentlemen have done, and didn't know if council and the administration would want to go in together on something like that, give them a little memento for their service here for the city.
But if I could add, you also have Chief Vellatine just retired too. So
Yeah.
probably should consider him for something if we're going to do something. Any comments? Councilman Leopard.
I'm in.
Okay. Councilman Jones.
I think it's a good idea also.
Councilman Perry.
I like the idea. It just reminded me, I think I still owe Dale $20 from.
Well, he didn't rat you out. I asked him today if he gotten paid by everybody. He
It
said
just,
pretty much.
It rung a bell up there, so I think I owe you some money, Dale. It's coming.
He said pretty much. He must be the pretty much, huh?
Need a haircut, Dale?
Yeah, I got you.
Just fine. We're just fine.
If you all would trust me, I would volunteer to work with Dale to come up with something that we could present to him.
I think it'd be a nice gesture.
Appropriate. Anyone doesn't think that's a good idea? Raise your hand. Okay. Dale, it's up to you and me. We'll come up with something. How's that?
I'm in.
Okay. Good. Thanks for bringing it up, Councilman Shuff.
No problem.
Anything else? Anything else for the good of the order? Councilman Jones.
Very, very, very minor, but I, for some reason, thought the meeting was at 6:30 tonight. And when I did try to get on Zoom, it said it starts at 6:30. Please be patient. And I was patient for a little bit. Is that a big deal or no big deal, or just me whining like sometimes I've been known to do?
Well, I think the meeting started at 6:45 unless there's, unless we change the meeting time, I think that 6:30 was just, that got put on there to kind of give everybody on the council an opportunity, because it takes some time to get these things brought up to speed, to get tied in. So, okay. Anything else? I want to thank the mayor for taking care of all these technical items for us too. I appreciate it. I'm sure all of you do too. So thanks, Mayor.
Yep, you're very welcome. It's not always easy trying to talk at the same time you're trying to let people in or remove people, or it gets a little hairy at times, but so far I think you haven't noticed most of my flub ups, but maybe it's because I'm muted a lot of the times when I'm flubbing up. So
You're doing great. You're doing
Thank
great.
you.
Councilman Leopard.
I'd just like to remind the residents, when you rake your wet leaves and put them in a bag, or you do your mulching and it's somewhat wet and you put them in a bag, our city employees don't need to be lifting 100-pound bags 4 foot higher or higher to get them in the back of a truck or on a trailer. Bags are cheap. Think about the hernias that are involved with all the lifting they do. They lift hundreds and hundreds of bags a day. And like I said, bags are cheap. Go easy on them.
Well said. Anyone else? Councilman Perry.
Last thing real quick. I had about 4 people text me when they saw the mayor take his title off his Facebook name, worried. So just thanks for clarifying that up, Mr. Mayor.
you're welcome. I decided to do that after I had the same problem. I had people texting me, I had people calling me, and it was just housekeeping for Facebook. It was, they're trying to go through and get people in politics, the blue check mark, so that people aren't putting up fake pages and trying to say, well, I'm so-and-so, and announcing a election change or coronavirus change, but they told me I needed to drop the mayor title since the city of Tiffin doesn't own the page, I own the page. So that's what it was. If not, they weren't going to verify it, and they said you could be subject to fake pages and yada yada. So I went ahead and just dropped the title. It made life easier that way. People know if it's got blue check mark, it's me. If it doesn't, you probably shouldn't put any stock into what it's saying. But I don't know, maybe some people don't put much stock into what I say anyway. So, but yeah, I was tired of getting blown up too, Danny. I didn't know it was going to send a notification to every person who follows the page. So after about text number 30, I decided I'm going to have to do something, or else I'm not going to even be able to sleep with the way my phone's beeping.
I was having some fun with some of them. I'm like, yeah, big announcement coming Monday. So
yeah, I think, Wednesday I'm going to announce my presidential run for 2024. I don't know who I'm running against or anything. I just, yep, get the signs done. So I know, Steve, I can still count on you to put yard signs up, right? All
There
over
you go.
the states.
I'm getting older. I'm gonna need help though. I can't do them all.
All right. Anyone else? Everybody remember tomorrow's election day, so get out there and vote. It's a privilege and a right that we have in this country. So let's use it. Councilman Schuff, good luck.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mayor.
Yeah, just real quick, you'll get your notifications yet tonight for your next council meeting on the 16th. So save those in your email so they don't come up missing. And Ken, to just elaborate a little further on what Councilman Fote says, with a webinar like what we do here, you can only schedule them in half-hour increments. So I either have to schedule it at 6:30 or I have to schedule it at 7. And because we start at 6:45, I have no way to do that. So that's why it starts at 6:30, and it gives me some time to get it going on Facebook and broadcast to the public and those kind of things. So you'll get it for 6:30, but obviously you don't have to join till 6:45.
So the committee of the whole meeting is always going to be at 6:45 unless there's further notice. Okay. All right. With that, we'll adjourn our meeting, and God bless all of you and have a great week. Good night.
Good night.
Right.